So let's take a look at the opening screen. Mario starts facing right with a ton of negative space in front of him. Nothing is moving, nothing is apparently threatening. This static screen gives the player some time to mess around with the controls and get used to them. The way Mario starts also informs the player where they'll be going for the entirety of the game, going right. Just looking at the screen shows you the wide open path. Despite the fact that Mario spends most of his time in the center of the screen, the designers made a deliberate choice to start Mario elsewhere. This affordance through the use of space does a mountain of work that games today spend lengthy cutscenes on. The player never feels lost in purpose, and they know how to begin without even needing to be told what the goal is. Just move right. So, along Mario's wayward journey to the right, the first thing we see is a question mark, bright and flashing so we can't miss it. It invites exploration without being threatening. You can approach it at your own pace. So you do. But just as you get close, something else appears. Our first enemy slides on screen. How does the player know it's an enemy? Well, two reasons. One, the sprite itself has some distinctly angry eyebrows. Two, the Goomba, unlike the object you've already encountered, is moving right towards you. Imagine if the Goomba was stationary. Not nearly as threatening. Your first encounter with a Goomba ensures that you've learned a major skill before proceeding. You cannot get past this spot without jumping. Given that the NES controller had 4 non-directional buttons to explore, and as a designer we already know the players already used the directionals, it was totally reasonable to expect the players to experiment with them, without the need for explicit instruction. And if the player dies, nothing big is lost. The player's just sent back a very short distance and asked to try again. Short iteration cycles are your friend. Immediately after the first enemy comes the first encounter with the power-up system. The player, being intrigued by the question mark and all the flashing, usually hits this question block, releasing a mushroom. The mushroom does a few interesting things. First, it moves right, usually following the player. This gives the player plenty of time to watch this new entity and learn how it moves. Second, it moves above the player and then drops down. This teaches the player about how other objects are affected by gravity, unlike the block it originally came from. As an extension, it bounces off the green pipe, showing how mushrooms interact with other solid objects while virtually ensuring that the player will get it. Even if the player decides that, based on what they've experienced so far, that mushroom-shaped objects are generally bad and tries to jump over it, the natural path to try and jump over the mushroom puts the player on a direct collision course with the blocks above Mario. The angle at which the player would use to jump over it causes them to be knocked right down into the mushroom. While still allowing the player complete autonomy, the clever designers at Nintendo managed to induce the players to touch a mushroom that, at first blush, seems like a dangerous enemy.